don't think we need to do any sort of a recap at the end, right? Since we're just doing this as one-on-one.
Yeah, I didn't see it say like a summary, so
Yeah, I think this is different. But okay. You want me to ask the questions?
sure.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about the movie A Great Amazing Grace, and the first question was, what doctrine in Wilbur's heart drove him to advocate? And why is this doctrine of the family so important to have in your heart? To be passionate and persistent. You want to do that one first, or want me
Yeah.
to? Okay.
So this is probably my longest answer, but I said I believe the doctrine part was that the worth of every soul is great in the sight of God. It seemed like he couldn't bear the thought of his fellow brothers and sisters being mistreated as they were as slaves. He believed that they were created by God and that the judgments of God would be upon those who could do something about it. The thoughts of the slaves haunted him because he felt that he and other privileged people could do something about it, but no progress was happening in their favor for a long time. If we have the belief that every soul is great in the sight of God and everyone is a son or daughter of God or our brothers and sisters, we will esteem them as ourselves, and then we will think and treat others differently. We would treat ourselves, or we would treat others with respect, be more courteous, kind, and follow the golden rule of doing unto others as we'd have them do unto us. And then last I said, we must have this doctrine in our hearts as family advocates for our choices and messages to be presented to others, or messages presented to others, so that they'll be convincing and also God's will. We must be, or being passionate and persistent was the only way that William finally abolished slavery. If he didn't try again with his passion, then the slaves would still haunt him and the slave trade would still occur. We need to be persistent because I believe being persistent shows dedication and shows how important these issues are. If we don't back down, it shows that these issues are mandatory and that these issues need to be addressed.
Wow, perfect. Very good. That was great. Um, my my answer was what says what doctrine Wilbur's heart drove him to advocate, and I said the same thing as you, and I wasn't sure I was going with the right direction. So I'm glad you said also was because of God. So I had said, because he actually said that one part about he felt like God spoke to him, and he felt like he spoke directly to him, and I really found that interesting. He said, what my answer was, Wilbur decided to do the work of God by being an advocate through political means. He decided to fight against slavery or the slave trade. He said that he felt like God spoke to him. He felt impressed to be an advocate for these great people, showing that every single person has worth, no matter their color or creed, religion, they all have worth in God's eyes. And he wanted to be an advocate for these great people to better their lives and the lives of everyone, families included. Then the second part of the question, I said, I feel it's extremely important to have the doctrine of family in our heart, to be passionate and persistent. One thing that I treasure personally most is family, not just the idea of family, but my actual family. I would do absolutely anything and everything for any member of a family. I will fight and protect and defend any one of my family members. If something is important to one of them, then it's important to me. And because of that, I will advocate for them on their behalf. When something is important to me, it makes me passionate about it and causes me to be more persistent until I've achieved the goal I've set. And I feel like with the doctrine of family in general, because family is important to me, everybody's family is important. And I understand it and respect the sanctity of the family. And so that is something that causes me to be passionate and persistent and an advocate for family. Okay, a little bit long. Okay. Oh, Catherine, I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Okay, yeah. Okay, I thought it was really interesting how you mentioned that he felt like God spoke to him because I had kind of forgotten that. But I think that was really a key role in his um, kind of like his obligation. He felt like he had to because God was counting on him, and these people were counting on him. Really big responsibility and drove him to be more consistent and passionate about it. So that's really good. Good point.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. Okay. The second question: how did Wilbur run a friend effective advocate? Identify the system and be. You want to go first or me? Want me to do this one?
About the microsystem, I said actually two things. So,
Catherine, I can't hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Here's with William Pitt, and William Pitt. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you. I'll mute while you're talking and see if that works better.
Okay. Okay, so for the microsystem, I talked about his friend or peer, William Pitt. And so William Pitt, he was one of the youngest that became prime minister. And you would see scenes with them just like joking around or being friends. And William Pitt was very successful and influential in government as well. So this opened doors for Wilbur to keep advocating and have more influence, I think. And then also his family or his wife. So his wife was a key role because she actually helped him talk about his experiences. And then she pushed him to advocate again. And then that second time that he got out there, he actually helped succeed in the abolishment of the slave trade.
That was great. And it's funny because I have actually 3 under micro, and I had his girlfriend that, started out as a friend, and he used to talk with her quite often. And then they ended up getting married. So yes, his wife definitely influenced him and was supportive. And then I also had his friend William, who was, like you said, became the prime minister, but because of his position and power, enabled him to be an advocate. Then the other person I had, and I think he would go in this category, was his friend John, he said he was a monk. And they had that kind of great relationship. It sounded like it stemmed from when he was a child. And then he also explained later that, obviously that came out later in the movie that John the monk had said that he'd witnessed years ago some abuse on the slaves, for the female slaves, African Americans, and that it still haunted him today. And he actually told Wilbur to be an advocate, to go out and fight and do all he could. He said it was too hard for him to talk about, but later he did end up talking, of course, at the end. But he felt like such a sadness for that, and it affected his life forever. So he really encouraged strongly Wilbur to be an advocate for that. So those were the 3 I had for micro. What did you have for Mesa?
I had, so I said for the mesosystem, his friend, William Pitt, invited other abolitionists like Thomas Clarkson to go into his home, and they had a meeting together, like a combination between a conference and then having friends at one's home. And it was like earlier in the movie where William Wilberforce or whatever, he thought that he couldn't be for God and still be. And so his friends invited all those other abolitionists and religious people that were influential into his house. And so I said, like, that was a big turning point for him because he was going to give up from being a politician.
Perfect. And mine kind of went along with that too. I said his best friend, who was running for prime minister, had invited them all for a dinner and kind of ambushed them a little bit. But by Wilbur being able to see like the demonstration of him holding the chains and put it around his neck, I think that was, like you said, a powerful turning point. It really impacted his decision that no matter what, he was going to fight for this. So it was just powerful seeing all of that and those change. Even me, I like cringed when I saw it. It was horrible. But yeah, so we're on the same wavelength. So
Yeah.
And the EXO one, I'm not sure if this system, to me, it says he's not a part of, but he's influenced by this system. I said Lord Charles, who joined Wilbur's group to advocate the slave trading, and I don't know if that. What did you put for that one? Do you remember Lord Charles?
Was he the one that switched sides?
Yeah. Oh, Lord Charles was the one that he was kind of like one of the judges. So I thought he was a judge in the beginning, and then they called him Lord Charles. So, but yeah, he was powerful on the other side. And I think when he came over and switched sides, then it just opened so many more doors for anyone else who was less powerful to be able to have the courage to do it. So he was the example I found for that exorcism.
Yeah. And what do you put for the macro system?
The macro, I have Wilbur had been taught to follow God as a child, and it impacted his life. And so all I could think of it said like wider culture and values. And so I thought just learning to believe in God and have faith in God maybe helped him through the macro system.
Yeah, that's what I put too. Well, I put like religion by going to the church and gaining insight, inspiration, the experiences, and knowledge from the pastor of the church. Okay. And then for the exosystem, I said that he used federal commission at those meetings to publicly state issues and present the problems, hoping there would be a vote to turn over slave trade for many years.
Oh, so,
yeah.
Okay. Good. Then the last one, the chrono system, I put Wilbur had made a goal to end slave trade. He had seen horrible patterns of African American male and female, and he bought it. He bought and abused and tortured, even murdered. He wanted to change history and make a difference and give these people their rights back. So I didn't really find one person, I guess. I just found that he had set that goal and he decided to make it happen.
Yeah, okay. So I had to actually go back and look up what the chrono system was. And so the chrono system it is temporal changes in ecological systems or within individuals producing new conditions that affect development. So there was like that for a while, and it made people very afraid in this society and like under attack. But then after the war in their like country, after it ended, then the people felt safer and they were able to have compassion enough to vote in favor of the abolitionists. He used this time to present his cause again to the government officials and then succeeded. So I saw as like there was some changes in the ecological system, or just like throughout history of the war and stuff, and it produced the changes within the individuals for like something to happen from it. I don't know if I got that right, but that's what I thought.
I think you did because it produced the changes. I think that was what you were saying that it's supposed to mean. I think that was right. Well, that was good. Perfect. Okay, go ahead. All right. The number three was how did Wilbur and his fellow advocates do and share their research? And what evidence did they provide to persuade those opposing or on the fence? Let's see. I wrote, Wilbur said they needed to start the fight with the truth. He and his clergyman friends offered proof throughout the year by demonstrating to people how the slaves died, how the bodies smelled. He made the people make the smell of death. I don't remember if you saw that one part on the ship where he had everybody sniffing, and he said, "Take the two shoes away from your noses and taste the smell of death." And he said after many of the demonstrations, many people decided not to buy sugar because it was harvested by the slaves. And eventually 390,000 people signed a petition to abolish the slave trade, probably due a lot to his going out and teaching and talking to everyone who would listen. He said it was not complete until one more person would add his name, and then that Lord Charles stood up, the previous judge, and he signed the petition, which then Wilbur told the fighting party, no matter how loud you shout, you will not drown out the voice of the people. And that was like a very powerful statement to me, but it was just such an awesome movie. That's an awesome story. Then I said they proposed a perfect way to get slavery to end was the result. Wilbur proposed an anti-French bill for anti-slavery. Wilbur wanted to announce and represent it by someone other than him, so it would actually be heard. And it was announced and it was passed. So they found kind of a non-person who wasn't in the spotlight. And even though, they figured it out that it was probably him behind it, they still passed it. And I felt like that was just a sneaky way, a really good way he did the whole pattern of getting the research, getting the evidence, proposing it, and then having someone else actually try to pass it. But
Yeah.
that was my, yeah. Okay,
That
what
was
did you
really
say?
smart of them.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I said very similar to yours, but yeah, Wilbur and his fellow advocates went out and traveled to see the ships where the slaves were abused and traded across the sea. They also traveled all around to get signatures of those against slave trade, and he talked to his preacher who lived with the memories of working with the slaves. They showed the massive amount of signatures they got at the government meeting, and he showed a slave ship with its stench to all of those wealthy people who gave money to support them. That was all I said.
That was good. No, that was really good. Thank you. Okay. Number four, how does the film portray the importance of working together as a group, and what has his family advocacy group work taught you? Let's see. I said, this film taught me that it's very important to work together as a group. Wilbur had decided to be an advocate against slave trade, and his one voice would not have ever been enough to make a difference. But when he spoke up about his desires, he was able to influence many others, and then his group began to grow bigger and bigger, and together as a group of few, and then to a larger group, and their voices and actions were all recognized. Soon they had, like I said, 391,000 people who signed the petition to end the slave trade, all because Wilbur and his group that was advocating for it. Then I said Wilbur John, who was the monk, provided a written account of all the torture that was done to the African American women aboard their ship. Then they thought of a different angle to go to get the bill passed. So he was just another one that joined the group to help probably seal the deal and have a personal account of what happened. And then what it taught me, I said family advocacy group work has taught me that we all have different perspectives, we all have different views, different opinions, etc. And when we work in our group, we're able to see things differently from someone else's perspective. We're able to discuss things and analyze things and help each other to better understand different topics. And again, just to see it from a different viewpoint, it helps us maybe to get a better, more rounded picture.
Okay, awesome. I said that though only one person can make a big difference, with more numbers comes greater power as well. And I talked about how family advocacy group in my life or for family advocacy groups. Well, in my life, in this class especially, it taught me that, like, almost like you said, with like different perspectives, but also um, it gives more confidence being with a group rather than just by myself. Like if I were to go with different advocacy groups, I would be able to educate myself more on what's going on because I don't know a lot actually, but other people have different backgrounds where maybe they have been affected by being like a different race or having same-sex parents or different things where I'm not accustomed to that, but with their input, I can benefit from it.
Great. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I know I think our group's been good this time too, because we're kind of all different stages of our lives and poor John with all the girls. But it's been, it is, you're the young one. Have, um, am I muted? No, I'm good. Can you hear me?
No, it was just cutting out. I couldn't hear you.
Okay. I was just saying, I think our group was really good, how we're kind of all in different stages and everything. And so it was nice to hear everybody's different opinions and different experiences. So it's been good. Okay, let's see. Number 5 says, what parallels do you see between Wilbur and Captain Moroni and Alma 46? What is a Christian and professional family advocate? And how did Wilbur exemplify that? How can you be effective and Christ-like against such loud and often degrading voices? You want to do that one first?
Yeah, I said Wilbur was like Captain Moroni because he was full of faith, passion. He prayed to rely on God's strength. He rallied the people, and he thought about others before himself. He was fearless in the midst of opposition. He loved the people, and that was his motive, love, to fight for this cause of righteousness. A Christian and professional family advocate is one who seeks God's will concerning the matter and looks for his divine direction. They do what's hard and right rather than what's easy and wrong. They are not easily persuaded by the philosophies or things like money of men. I believe that we can be effective against such loud and degrading voices by being the opposite of degrading. We can lift others, show kindness, shock others by turning the other cheek, and still be loud, but an interesting and kind way, which can be different and peculiar to the world. I think people are searching for something refreshing and good, but many of them don't know about it or don't know where to find it.
That was awesome. Very good. Oh, great. Okay. I said Wilbur and Captain Moroni both exemplify great leadership because they led with faith and love for the people. They're both kind, loving men. They had something they believed in, and they wanted others to believe in it too. They both led honorably and were able to get followers to believe and stand up for the cause. And I had said Captain Moroni raised the title of liberty. He rallied the people to defend their religion, and he wanted them to be true believers of those people. He wanted them to have a love for God, and he truly loved the people. And then I said Wilbur was just like Captain Moroni in that he felt that slave trading was wrong, so he had a goal. He also did this through faith and his love for God. He rallied to get the people to defend the idea and wanted them to understand and see how wrong slave trade was, and he wanted them to vote to overturn the bill. He was successful just as Captain Moroni was successful in getting the people to defend their Christian religion. Wilbur was able to get 283 yeses to 16 no's to abolish the slave trade. And then I said, I can be effective. I feel like I can be effective in Christ-like against such loud and often degrading voices by sharing my testimony and my beliefs and my ideas in a respectful way. I can strive to be more honest and brave and direct, and will always be careful in what I say, especially when discussing religion and sensitive topics with people. And I said, I will participate in fighting. I will not participate in fighting or demeaning anyone or anyone else's religion or beliefs. but I will also not let our religious beliefs be offended. I will be an advocate and try to be reserved, soft-spoken, but speak from my heart and keep the tone calm and loving and keep the topic Christ-centered. So those are my goals for that.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you. Okay, and then for Marcia Barlow, I love her. That question says, Marcia Barlow spoke on persuasive speaking and writing. Did Wilbur and others exemplify any of Marcia's idea, and how so? Do you want to do that one, or do you want me to read it? Okay, keep talking.
I'll do it. Okay, so
Okay.
Wilbur used many excellent tactics to be persuasive for his audience. He used real stories of the slaves that would evoke compassion and inform others of the true circumstances of their lives or of their deaths. For example, the scene of the wealthy people on the ship as they smelt of death and saw the iron shackles of the slaves. The people were moved to tears in sympathy. Wilbur didn't always use God. Oh, yeah. Also, Wilbur didn't always use God in the meetings with the government, but others who may have been religious never used God or religion in their arguments. This was a key factor that Marcia Barlow suggested. She suggested also that we don't use the Mormon or Christian lingo in front of public policy, but we can still use Christian principles to guide our persuasive tactics.
Very good. That was very good. Perfect. I had said Sister Barlow's talk about how important it is to do things in their season. I like that. And I also liked how she said Sister Barlow said to be true to yourself. Remember that example, if you're not funny, try not to be funny in a speech. And I was just thinking, Wilbur actually had a really dry sense of humor. So when he was speaking in the big forums, he was really naturally funny and quick-witted, and so it worked for him to have that. Let's see, Marcia Barlow also said, when you give a speech, you should incorporate the persuasive guidelines of the story of us, of the story of self, story of us, and the story of now, and that the articles are most effective if there's a hook or a human interest to draw the reader or the audience in, such as a story or a current event or an analogy. And I thought Wilbur definitely had a hook every time he got up and spoke. He captivated his audience and he described the horrible things that had been done to the slaves. He told the story of himself, how it personally made him feel when he heard of anything to do with slavery. The meaning of the people was how did he make everyone else feel. He made everyone else feel like he did by, like you said, recreating and going on the ship where slaves had been killed, and he got the people to have sympathy and to understand where he was coming from. And then he triggered, for the story of now, he triggered how something in him had the desire to help people. He was to get others to him to help fight to prevent the All right. Pardon?
Oh, you were cutting up. I couldn't hear the last part.
Oh, sorry. The very ending, I was just saying, and then the very last part was for the meaning of the people, how did it make everyone else feel? And then the now was how it triggered something in him to desire to help change the policy and to get the others to help join him to provoke change. Okay. And then number 7 was, what role did the government, policy, and religious freedom play in the fight of the slave trade? And did you see their political system being pro-family? Why or why not?
So I thought the role of the government was initially all about allegiance to the king. Like his friend William Pitt, he wasn't as extreme because he wanted to support the king, and the king made deals for the slave trade, I think, to boost their economy and trade with other countries. I said those are my thoughts of why people were pro-king or pro-government. And then The policy, it looked like it could be flexible according to the desire of the majority of the people. Um, and then, so the people had influence over policy of the slave trade. Religious freedom gave the abolitionists the right to believe what they did and to preach about it for many years without being kicked out of the Senate or whatever that was, the meeting. And I said, I understand both sides of why they wanted to use slaves and why they didn't. It was economically more satisfying to use slaves and pay for sugar and other things the cheaper way so that their families could have what they wanted and needed. But morally using slaves is clearly anti-family because it's anti-Christ. People were denying that the slaves were actual people created by God, in which they are. If they want families but deny others their rights and freedoms to create healthy families, then they're not being pro-family at all. Wilbur was pro-family. He viewed everyone as children of God, his brothers and sisters that needed his help. He proclaimed in the Senate, or like the group where they like battled, that the black slaves were in fact people.
That was really good. Very good answer. Awesome. Mine is a little bit shorter, but I like yours better. I had just said the government needed to change its vote to change the bill to abolish the slave trade. The policy was written and needed the people to vote to abolish it. Then I said a religious freedom played a role because it evoked tolerance, love, and being Christian and loving God. The political system seemed to be pro-family, but only the families that they felt constituted people. I felt like until the slave trade was overturned, it seemed that the people were not even acknowledging African Americans as actual individuals and people, let alone worrying about the rights of their families. After slave trade was overturned, it seemed the government and the people had all had a change of heart, and it seemed like a lot more loving and Christ-centered people. I was a little shorter. Okay, let's see. Okay, number 8. Do you feel that Wilbur used his time on earth well? How did you see him showing the elements of consecration that Elder Christopherson spoke of? Do you want me to read mine?
Yeah.
Okay. I said, I feel that Wilbur absolutely used his time on earth well. He used all that he had to be an advocate for something he believed in. He fought for years and years to get the slave trade overturned, and he accomplished that goal. Because of his desire and relentless fight, he saved the lives of many, and he changed the world and changed history. And I said, Elder Christopherson spoke of the importance of using your talents and gifts to exemplify the elements of consecration. Wilbur, I feel like, was a great example of using his talent, his gifted, tender heart, a wise intellect, and a Christ-centered man to put the welfare of others as his goal and help and felt that every man, woman, and child should be treated equally. He used his gift of persuasion and he helped change the world.
Awesome. I said, truly consecrating our lives is to give our time and make choices that build up God's kingdom. He definitely gave every waking and sleeping moment to build up God's kingdom. Every choice he made wasn't for him, but was for God. He used his time to pray, enjoy God's creation, like the little pets he would have in his house, create a family, advocate for abolishment of the slave trade, give his money, like the beggar outside of the church, and resources, like inviting all those less fortunate people to his house to eat food, and use his talents, such as his singing voice, to sing Amazing Grace, to glorify God's purposes. He didn't let other people's opinions hold him back or waste his time. His life reflected not greed, selfishness, or self-indulgence. He gave his life back to God through the service he rendered toward his fellow men.
That was awesome. That was super awesome. You nailed every single thing. That was good. I've forgotten about some of those things, like with the beggar, and even like the cook he had come out when he was laying on the grass that day. Just like, I feel like the people who worked for him didn't feel like he was above them. I felt like he made everyone feel really comfortable. Okay. All right. Number 9. Do you hear a lot of background noise or is it routine?
Sometimes I do on my computer. You hear background noise from me?
I'm hearing like static, but if you can hear me, it's okay. You can hear me okay? Okay. 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 Number 9, any other profound thoughts or personal insight from the movie that are related to child and family advocacy? I said, throughout the whole movie, I just kept feeling this overwhelming sense of love for Wilbur. I wondered if I would have been back there. I knew I would have a problem with slavery, but I keep wondering if I would have been able to be as persistent and to continue to keep fighting time and time after he just kept getting rejection and persecution. And as he kept doing that, I just kept feeling for him and almost compared him to Joseph Smith. With he had such a fight and had God in his mind, and he knew the bigger picture, and so he kept fighting. And I felt kind of like that's what Wilbur was doing. And I thought, especially with the health problems that he had, he just persevered through it because he believed in something and he believed that he wanted to provoke change. And I felt a sense of happiness that because Wilbur didn't give up, every person, every family enjoys the rights of being free and being together and of being happy. We owe a lot to this man and to the great men who voted to overturn the slave trade. That was it for me.
Oh, got it. Okay. I said, he didn't immediately see the consequences of his actions. I thought that the point of the movie was going to be that we never know what impact we'll have. Like today, there are no slaves, though some countries still have some customs similar to slaves, like child slavery, where they work in factories for little pay and stuff like that. But I thought that the whole point of the movie was going to be that he never really saw the effects of his actions, but everyone today knows that we don't do slavery. And I said, of course, at the end, he did feel the satisfaction of his work and peace of mind, knowing that the slave trade was illegal. But it's a good point that we don't know what our advocacy will do. Though there is a lot of evil in the world, there is progression, like the progression of advocating for pornography as being a public health crisis now. And hold on, I have to let my husband in.
Okay.
Okay.
He was locked out. Okay. Thank you. Oh, very good. Yeah, very good answers. Awesome.
Yeah, like when I was watching the movie, I really thought that it was going to end, and we never saw like that it was actually going to be abolished.
That's what I kept thinking. I thought he was going to die. You know?
Yeah.
I was happy that it was a better ending.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 10. I said, what was your understanding of the doctrine of the family at the beginning of the semester, and has it changed? Okay, let's see. For that one, I said, my understanding of the doctrine of family was similar to what I know now, but I didn't realize that by living the way we believe and teaching my family what I feel or the doctrine of the family is not enough. It's not enough just to worry about our own little families and everything's going great. We're living safely in our own little circles and then keep quiet when others are going against everything that we feel the definition of family is. And then I just added that quote I love from Sister Beck. It was on this assignment. It says, "This generation will be called upon to defend the doctrine of the family." I'm sorry, wait. She said, "This generation will be called upon to defend the doctrine of the family as never before. If they don't know the doctrine, they can't defend it." And then I just thought, that's so important. And I mean, my kids are, the youngest is 18 and the oldest just turned 26. So they're older and two are married and, they're all in college. And I just thought, we're a very close family and they know what we feel about family, but I wondered how they felt about the doctrine of the family. So we kind of all have this big, we were Skyping on Easter and we started talking about it, and I was talking about this advocacy class, and I was just really happy to see that they kind of all have the same opinion, that family is important. It's worth fighting for and being an advocate for. And so anyways, we had just this great discussion. It was great to see that we kind of all were on the same page about it. And it made me just kind of, this class, I think, learning more about being an advocate just really has triggered some good discussions with me and with friends. I have a niece who is, and I think I've shared that in this class, she's 27 and she is living with a girl and she's going to get married, and it's like heartbreaking, and we've never had anyone like that in our family that's been gay. It's just like a really odd thing, and we would never have known that about her. So but just that has really caused a lot of different discussions, and because we want to love her and keep her in our thoughts and prayers, and we want to keep her around church so she knows that she can come back someday, but yet we also don't agree with what she's doing. So it's been a difficult thing, but it's been great to have this family class, just knowing that I do need to open my mouth more and not feel uncomfortable, but to love her, but to share my beliefs as well, not just act like it's okay, like everything's fine. So this class has taught me that I want to stand up for family and do more about talking about the importance of defending the family. And it's helped me want to preserve the family's rights. And I'm hoping that I'll want to continue with that after this class. So that's how kind of my thoughts have changed since the beginning.
Yeah, I really like that quote that you shared from Sister Beck, where if we don't know the doctrine, we can't defend it. And I think this class built upon that, because, like, I, grew up in a good LDS home. I knew the doctrine. I went on mission, taught the doctrine. But this class helps me to know how to present the doctrine in a non-doctrinal way. Well, I mean, it is the doctrine, but it helped me to know, like, how to write an article persuasively without talking about Christianity or mentioning God. And then it also helped me to know how to present it through public speech without talking about God as well, which was totally opposite of being a missionary. Also, I said, I understood God's doctrine of the family pretty well, but I have a better picture of God's doctrine being under attack from every angle, whether it's being attacked in the home or through the public policy. I understand better the need we have as saints, with the knowledge of the eternal importance of families, to go out and voice our opinions in a way that will be scientifically backed up and persuasive through personal stories. So, especially that book that we read, what was it called?
The Sacred something?
Yeah, A Sacred Duty. Yeah, A Sacred Duty. It helped me realize, like, the importance of becoming educationally inclined. Like, we do need lawyers and good, really smart people like that to go out and defend the family. And it made me have a greater appreciation for them, because I saw, like, what that professor did, and I can never do that. But maybe I can raise a child who'll do that. That would be awesome.
That would be good. You probably could do it though. You're pretty good. But when you were bringing that up, saying like that we are being an advocate using for family, but not using the church doctrine, I was reminded me. I worked for about 4.5 years as a social service director, and it was at a skilled nursing facility. I worked there about probably 5 years ago. I stopped working. But anyways, I did that for about 4 years, and it was funny when I would be like kind of doing counseling with somebody and I would be offering counsel to them. I would totally be giving them church counsel, but I wouldn't word it as that. And I wouldn't, quote things from talks or from church or from scriptures or from the proclamation. But all of that just kind of, it goes into this class. It's like we can use our beliefs and speak from our heart, but we just don't make it churchy. And then people do listen a little bit better when maybe they're not religious. So I think that has been a good kind of angle we've learned from this class and how to be an advocate without just, because people can argue the religious, but they can't argue just the straight facts, I guess. But yeah, thanks for that point.
That's really interesting. I never knew you do that. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did. I did that and I absolutely loved it, but I never wanted to work with my kids at home. But my sister, I think I told you a little bit, had passed away and we ended up getting her children. So for 4 years we had their son, and anyway, so I needed to help bring in a little extra income for our family that grew from 4 to 7. So I did that for a few years and we worked around my husband. He's a cop, so we alternated our schedule. So one of us was home with the kids. So it was tricky, but it worked. But okay, let's see. So number 11 was picture your spouse and children, or current or future, and write down some thoughts about how they will benefit from you taking this class. Let's see. I wrote, my husband and kids and grandkids will benefit quite a bit from me taking this class. The biggest reason I feel they'll benefit is that I've developed a strong passion for advocating for the family, and especially our family. I've realized that it's not enough to just sit back and hope all will be right in the world, and I've realized that the right of the family needs to be fought for. I realize that my family will benefit from my example because they will know how important it is to me. And I just said, sorry, I kind of talked about Genesee, my niece, already, but I said, for example, the sanctity of marriage and the sanctity of family needs to be protected. I have a niece that is gay and is engaged to be married to another woman. And before this class, I was respectful and loving towards my niece, and I never spoke up for what I believe. She knows we're LDS, and the church does not allow same-sex marriage, relations, or marriage. But I never had used my words to tell her how strongly I felt about it. But 2 weeks ago, as I've been learning more and more about it in this class, I felt like giving her a call. So I told my niece how strongly I feel about marriage being between a man and a woman. We spoke for over an hour, and we were both very tearful on the phone. and it was all loving, but we were both crying, and I was very soft-spoken and loving, and I just kept telling her how much I loved her and how wonderful I thought she was. But then I said, but the conversation, it went really well. And I had said a prayer before and I said a prayer after. And I was just so grateful that I could feel the Spirit as I talked with her. And she also was LDS, but has stopped going to church. But after the conversation, of course, she didn't change her mind. She's still going to be getting married. But I just feel better knowing that she knows how I feel and what my beliefs are and my testimony. And I was able to tell her in more detail how the LDS church feels, and then also help her, remind her of the covenant she made at baptism and all of the blessings that she's had through the years and how much she loved church and seminary. And I think that at least just talking about those and sharing funny stories of her when she was little, she was able to kind of relate, and it brought back those memories of the church. And I think at least they were a little bit fresh on her mind. So I just said I brought that conversation with my niece Genesee, and it brought us both closer. And then I also shared that experience with all of my kids and my husband, and it just was, let's see, what did I write? It's brought us closer when I shared it with my kids. And I wanted to let my kids know that it's important to stand up for what we believe and to be an advocate for what we believe in. I was able to share with the kids why this is so important to me, and it should be important to everyone, and to stand up to be an advocate for our family and every family. Is your husband teasing you? Is he making fun of me?
Yeah, he's distracting me. But wow, that must have taken a lot of courage to say that, like to call up your niece. Like I don't think I could have done that, but that's really good. Like if this class helped you do that, you surely get an A. No, but that's really awesome. I'm glad that you're able to have a really good conversation and help her trigger back those good memories about the church. I said, I'm inspired to get more involved in my community and be a better example to my family about the relevance of just one person acting on a righteous cause. Sometimes I feel that what I do is such little consequence, and that state of mind, and that state of mind can be a plague for others' hopes and dreams. I want my children to know that whatever good they do to help others and build up the kingdom of God is good enough for God. I will also be more likely to teach my children the importance of voting, presenting issues to the local representatives, and voicing their opinions for a righteous cause. I think, going back to like the tools that this class has given me, I think I would want to help my children know that if they really do have a problem with something going on in the state or something at school, that they can talk to, if they're too young, they could tell me about it, and I could go to the school board, or I could be involved in the school board to help them. And I want them to know that they're not just like a little ant on the earth that won't have any cause, but if they really feel strongly about something, then they can go out and talk to people about it. And I hope that'll go the right way. Like if I have righteous children, if I have bad children, I don't want them to like go off on these crazy thoughts.
Like hippies.
Yeah, I do want to give them like confidence to know that what they do really matters. And though there are a lot of bad things like in our government and stuff like that, like I wouldn't mind helping them to know that they can be a good politician. Like there's not just bad politicians out there, but there are also like good ones that stand up for righteousness.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's important, just to raise our kids with confidence, and they of course need to do the research and get the facts and be careful about it, but that every cause that they feel strongly about that is like a just cause. I mean, every person does have a voice, just like Wilbur in this movie. You know what I mean? He was one man who was affected by it, and he provoked all this change. So I think we can raise our kids. They always say the next generation is even better. So the kids are just always stronger and more valiant, and yeah, I think you'll raise some good ones.
So I have a question about the movie. So when Wilbur was like running with his friend and his stomach started hurting, or when he was like chopping wood and his stomach started hurting, do you know what that was? Never explained it, I don't think.
The only thing he had said when the girlfriend and wife passed, who ended up passing away for kids, but it's like kind of like an irritable bowel syndrome, but even worse. And so I know with my sister, like no matter what she would eat or anything, she would have chronic like diarrhea. Everything came through her system. She had extremely bad stomach pains, and it just comes on like attacks like that. And I'm sure back in those days they had no medication for it. And so I think that I don't think they said that that's how he died, but that was the only illness that they said he had, was the Crohn's disease. So I think it was just horrible stomach attacks. And I don't know if that's how he died. Do you remember if they said?
No, I don't remember. So when there was one night that he woke up his wife and he was like kind of having an attack or something, and he said that he put away all of this medicine or drink. What was that? I was confused.
I know. I think that the medicine, I put it away, like he put it away, he didn't want to take it, or he had drank it all. but I felt like that was like a pain medication back then that was in like liquid form. That's what I was guessing. And so I felt like maybe he was just tired of taking the medication. That was kind of how I interpreted it. Was But the way he said it was either he had taken it already and he couldn't take anymore because it wasn't time, or he put it away because he didn't want to be addicted to the pain medication. My sister actually became addicted to the pain medication, which ended up, ending her life. It was horrible. And so I feel like with the Crohn's, there's really still not much of a cure to kind of subside the pain and the attacks, but it really will just keep occurring. You can kind of change your diet and things, but so I feel like that's what was happening with him. He was having these horrible chronic attacks, and they just weren't going away. It kind of sounded like the medicine or whatever wasn't maybe dulling it, but it wasn't getting rid of it. But
Yeah, for a while in the movie, I couldn't tell if that medicine was giving him hallucinations.
oh yeah,
Like when he like saw the slave at the beginning of the movie, I was like, this is creepy. But okay, thanks for kind of clarifying.
I don't know what that was. I was trying to be confused too. Like, was this supposed to be like God sharing these images with him? I didn't feel like it was. I feel like the same thing. Pain, he was taking medication, and then he was seeing things, or yeah, it was a little bit weird in the beginning. I didn't get that part either. Oh gosh. All right.
Well, thank you so much. I guess we're done.
Yes, thank you. And then you're just gonna post the link on,
What was that?
oh, I said, and then I guess I don't do anything, you just post the link for us?
Yeah, I'm not going to post it in our discussion board. It says that I have to open a link to post it, so you won't see it on the discussion board.
Okay,
But I'll give it.
that's fine. You'll put, okay. Because I was gonna say, I don't see a link on my end, so I can't turn anything in, right? Okay, all right. Okay, well, thank you so much. It's been funny getting to know you. Maybe I'll see you in class.